Good morning, CLC. I invite everyone to take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Breathe in this cool, calming air. And as you breathe out all that no longer serves you. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and take another nice, deep, cleansing breath. Loving yourself in this moment. Breathing out all the stress and tension, all the doubt and regrets, just letting them go for now. Allow yourself to relax in this moment. Allow your body to be still. And allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin this inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging this higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of this infinite presence, I simply speak these words. I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all of my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only positive, constructive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing that idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words. I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me, I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in the room with me this morning. I turn toward that image in my mind's eye and say, I'm grateful for the good in your life. Now I open my eyes, turn to the world around me, and joyfully speak to anyone physically present in the room or virtually on this broadcast, and share in confidence and gratitude in saying, I'm grateful for the good in your lives.
Well, good morning. You're all over here today. Yeah. Usually there's more over here. I know. All your coffee will slosh up one side of the cup. This is week 4 of 5 on a process called spiritual mind treatment, which is a form of prayer that we use, that we teach in this place. Week 5, next week, will be presented by our own Danielle Mercadal, who will speak to us about the last step of release. Today is Thanksgiving. Today, it's Thanksgiving? No. Today is gratitude. Today is the 4th step. And what I realized some time ago is that steps 1, 3, and 5 are action steps, and steps 2 and 4 are reflection steps. Okay? The first step is just to recap, to take you through this, so Danielle doesn't have to, because I don't want her to have to use up her whole talk going over the 4 weeks before, you know? So a little recap. Step 1, we recognize that there is one life. That life is spirit, that life is wholeness, allness, completeness, or as I called it in the talk, the monad, which is an ancient Greek concept of a unitary wholeness. Okay? The monad, one life, the divine mind. Step 2 is, I am in that. This means me. This is my life too. I am part of this. And that takes some work often, because we have to kind of argue ourselves into a place of understanding that this really means us, that it's not some external cosmic abstraction. It's the personal nature of who we are. Step 3, which was last week. Do I need to pause? Okay. Okay. Do I need to speed up, slow down, translate? Step 3, which was last week, was to realize that because there is one life and that life is my life, that there are attainable goals, that I can select certain outcomes for my life. I can have a purpose. I can have a purpose when I pray. I can manifest conditions and circumstances, and especially feelings. I can manifest a context in which I hold my life. And we went into how the conditions and circumstances that we choose to select and pursue in our lives often reflect unmet psychological needs. So, for example, if I want a Lamborghini, there's nothing wrong with that, but why do I want it? And very often, we find we want Lamborghinis and stuff so that we can show the fifth grade class that lives in our head who laughed at us 40 years ago that we amounted to something, okay? The thing is, if that's why we want the Lamborghini, if we get the Lamborghini, it won't satisfy that need. It'll be just thrown on top of the pile of things that we've acquired to try to satisfy that need. So what we want is self-awareness. Who am I really? Now, this is no knock on Lamborghinis. They're wonderful cars, I'm sure, and somebody needs to buy them because they're out there, you know. But if you're going to have one, especially as much as they apparently cost, if you're going to have one, you want to have it for the right reasons. Otherwise, it sits there as a big disappointment. Have you had an accumulation ever of big disappointments in your life that were substitutes for emotion, substitutes for emotional healing, you see? And very often it's what drives people into self-awareness is that for years we'll go along accumulating stuff thinking that it's going to fill that need, and it doesn't, and so we crash and burn. We have this midlife crisis or psychological breakdown or whatever you want to call it, and we say, life is so unfair because I was told that I needed this and this and this in order to be fulfilled, and I have it now and I'm not fulfilled, or I don't have it, but the feeling of it won't leave me alone. It nags me. I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I should have a Lamborghini. Like, what's that about? So it's addressing a spiritual psychology. We have a spiritual psychology, not just a childhood psychology or an adolescent psychology. We have a spiritual psychology which says, how do I view myself in the context of the one life having an experience of itself by means of me in this world at this time? How do I view myself? And a litmus test for how well we have realized what we wish to manifest with clarity. Okay, that's a long sentence and it's complicated and it's got several commas in it. But a litmus test for how well we're doing with the realization step is the Thanksgiving step that follows. Because it's one of the two contemplative steps. We don't do gratitude in this step. Gratitude has us. Gratitude has us. Okay? So, if I'm treating about something, and that's what we call it in the gerund, you know, is we're treating. So if I'm treating myself to know something, and I feel like I have a full realization of it, does it make me happy? Am I grateful? Am I thankful? Am I accepting? And if I'm not, that's not a bad thing. It's good information. It's telling me that I don't really want what I thought I wanted. At least it's not as high a priority as I thought it was. If I'm not grateful at the thought of having it. Have you ever had somebody come up to you and say, I know what you need. You should read this book, see this movie, meet this person, take this job, go on this vacation, whatever. And you take their advice and you do one of those, especially, I guess, the vacation. But, you know, you follow through. And you realize that it's what they wanted for you, but it's not what you wanted for yourself. In fact, we talked about this at Christmas. You know, when it's time to buy presents for people, and we do this year-round with birthdays and anniversaries and stuff, when it's time to buy presents for people, buy people what they have indicated they want, rather than what you think they ought to have, you know, to kind of fix them up. Because it's disappointing to them, and it's disappointing to you, the giver, if that connection isn't made. So very often, you know, people have said, well, this is what you ought to do. And it was really they were living out their own vision, and it wasn't your vision. Well, you can take that on in treatment and think, okay, people will like me if I do thus and such, okay? Or the people I never got approval from years ago will suddenly, I don't know, rise from their graves or something and give me approval if I do this particular thing, and you're not excited about it. Well, guess what? Then spiritual law is not excited about it. See, the only thing we have to convince is the subconscious mind. The law, we call it, the principle underneath prayer. That's the only thing we have to convince. Our state is grace by nature. There is one life. That life is God. That life is all the life there is. And there's nothing we can do about that. Nor would we want to, but even if we wanted to, there's nothing we can do about that. One life, and here I am. But all the rest of it is variable. All the rest of it is subjective. It's all about self-image that gets handed off to spiritual law, which has been called the subconscious mind. Nobody really knows what to call it. And there are really no precise terms that do it justice. But it's the part of us that's not the intellect, okay? It's the part of us that's kind of sub rosa to the intellect. There's something else going on in there. The deeper motivations and intentions of the soul. It's the soul life. That's what this spiritual principle is. That's what the subconscious mind is. Okay, it's the only part of us that needs to be convinced of our value. Why? Does it have a different opinion? Maybe. Because it's been given a different opinion by us at some point in life. Early on, many of us decide there's something wrong with us. We're kind of born into a society that tells us there's something wrong. You know, even if it's just, well, you're a baby, you're a weak, helpless little baby. One day you'll be a child, and that's better, you know. But what we really need you to do is become a taxpayer. Okay, we really need you to grow up and be a citizen and hold down a job and all of this. And then even when you get there, it's like, well, you know, you could have done better at school, or you could be making more. I mean, there's always something. So we have this story, this script going on in our minds. It says, I'm never enough. I'm never enough. Now, that's not the truth of us. But it doesn't matter that it's not the truth of us, because it becomes the fact of us. You see? Because of the way spiritual law works. I know this is a little confusing, but it's kind of like it takes what you give it as you give it. It doesn't say, wait, are you sure? It's not like your computer. Do you really want to do this? Yeah. You know? Okay. It takes what you give it with intensity of feeling. And when we think there's something not good enough about us, we think it with an intensity of feeling, don't we? That's not a blithe, kind of offhand thought. There's something wrong with me. No, that's a terrifying thought, paralyzing thought. And so with that intensity of feeling, we hand it off to spiritual law, which being law receives it unquestioningly and plugs it in, you know, as the operating system, really, for us. Now, nobody really, I'm talking in extremes here, because nobody really has such low self-esteem that they plug in this absolute worthlessness chip, you know, into this thing. Or they'd really kind of self-destruct on the spot. No, it's nuanced. Most of us feel pretty good about ourselves most of the time, except when we don't, you know. And so it's kind of like that 80-20 or 70-30 or whatever mixture of value, not value, that we hand off to spiritual law. And it's according to that ratio, generally, that we manifest outcomes. So things work out 80% of the time, or 70, more or less. And you have to do your own math on this, and keep your own records, and chart the course of how you feel about yourself and how well things are working out for you based on all of this. But it's a matter of self-awareness. It's a matter of what's running in us up to this point, and then how we would re-script it. Now, if anyone's new here this morning, I don't want you to think that you come in here and we re-script you, and we change your... No, this is for you to do at home, okay? This is... all we're doing here is kind of laying out the program, but this is what you do at home. And the best way that I know to do it is go to God, okay? Go to God, the God of your understanding, because that's something else we don't do here is tell you, exactly what kind of God you ought to believe in. But you go to the God of your understanding, the deity. We'll take it out of the gendered voice, the deity of your understanding. And you say to that, show me who I am. Show me who I am, okay? And I'm willing to know. Hold nothing back from me. I'm willing to know. If I don't like it, I'll deal with it. If I do like it, I'll deal with it. But show me, show me, show me, show me, okay? And if you do this, and you're really honest about doing it within yourself, you won't have to keep asking. It'll keep unfolding. It'll keep unfurling as you go. In other words, the whole idea of a searching and fearless moral inventory, which is a concept with which many here I think are familiar, is to me not something that you have to re-engage constantly. If you're willing to take one, it starts taking itself. And it shows you stuff without you having to go get it. You know what I mean? It's you kind of turn it on and let it run. And then you're willing to take the incoming information. And the most disturbing part of it is it will show false assumptions. It will say, well, you have a $250,000 Lamborghini sitting in your driveway that's a substitute for your self-esteem. Is that all right with you? That kind of thing. And you'll be like, oh, whoops, and then you sell the car, don't sell the car, or you re-engage in your relationship with it or whatever. And so it gives you this kind of information, and it's good information to have. And then the only other thing is to not beat yourself up over the information. Because when you do that, then you reverse the process and it sends all of this new negativity into the subconscious. I should have known better. People do this to themselves. In metaphysics, I took all these classes, I read all these books, and I'm still doing this. I should have known better. And the subconscious mind just says, yes, you should have known better. It just, right? It has no opinion of its own. It just takes that and it runs with it. So the step of Thanksgiving, again, to me, if I have to remind myself to be grateful, I'm not in a grateful space. And that in itself is not a bad thing, but it's a good thing to know. But when I get an idea of how I want my life to look, and suddenly in my mind's eye I'm there, you get this kind of glazed look. Kind of there. That's gratitude. That's acceptance. Then I'm really feeling it. And I'm sending a powerful impulse into not only my subconscious mind, but where my subconscious meets the universal subconscious. Because this is how, let's go there for a minute. This is how stuff actually happens. See, I don't make it up like out of my own life. I connect with other people and outer conditions in order for this good to happen. And so my subconscious process, my subconscious contents have to connect with the universal subjective or subconscious contents of everybody else, or to put it another way, the patterning intelligence. The patterning intelligence. For example, let's say I want a new job. Well, where is it? Well, I don't know. If I knew where it was, I'd go have it, right? I'd go get it, but I don't know where it is. And it could be the other side of the world. So how am I going to find it? Well, the internet is helpful, but, really, What did we do before we had that? And what are we doing now even though we have that? There's a patterning intelligence that's not just vast, it's infinite. It's infinite. So I get a picture in mind of what I want to do, and especially how I want to feel about doing it. And I put this into the subconscious mind through a process of repetition, process of prayer. And the subconscious mind of me, which connects to the subconscious mind of everybody else, goes on a hunt for it. And it causes me, if I'm willing and remain willing, it causes me to cross paths with the good that I seek, even if it is on the other side of the world. Either I find myself there or it finds itself here. And somehow or another, we cross paths. And when this happens, it looks like a miracle. And we all get real excited about miracles. There's something more exciting than miracles, and that's naturalness. That's predictability. That's a law. Rather than a one-off kind of thing like, whoa, jackpot, you know? Here's my good. It's like, yeah, this is how it works. Every person who's looking for a job is being looked for by an employer seeking assistance. Every person who wants to sell something is being sought by somebody who wants to buy it, and on and on and on, okay? Every note of music that floats through the air is looking for somebody to sing it or play it on an instrument. Every thought, every image is looking for a writer, a painter, and on and on and on. Everything is seeking its good, says a wonderful teacher named Emma Curtis Hopkins. All things seek their good. And your good is your God, and your God is your good, you see. And so you can make a God out of the Lamborghini, which is an unfortunate kind of thing to do, but you can make it the be-all and end-all for your growth or something like that, or you can make it about money or prestige or power or some lesser form of expression as a substitute for the end game really that you seek, which is full spiritual occupancy really of your own soul. So when you say your good is your God, you turn around and you say, my God is my good, my cosmic dimension is constantly bringing to me everything that I need for the fulfillment of my soul's purpose, which I will know is being met because I'll be in joy. I'll know when I'm living my soul's purpose because I'll be in joy, only occasionally punctuated by stretches of boredom and irritability and all the human condition. But the backdrop, and this is something I'm going to get into with you in February in a whole series on change, on welcoming change, you know, that the backdrop of you like this backdrop? Isn't that a lovely backdrop? We decorate it periodically, and it's got the symbol of our teaching up here that's backlit, and it's just really nice, you know. Well, it's the backdrop of what we do here. But on this stage, there's been great joy, and there's been great grief, you know, and everything in between. Okay? We have lamented the loss of beloveds on this stage in front of the backdrop of this. We have sung and danced and had wild and silly times together in front of the backdrop of this. That's how life works. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor, you see. And so we're working on creating a consciousness to the backdrop of our life that is thankful. You know, one last thing about this. You know, gratitude doesn't have to be conditional. You gave me something, so I owe you a note. Right? You gave me, so I have. No, gratitude can be just this state of being. of yes. I accept it. And I will transform it. And if you give me a problem, I'll solve it. Okay? Or not solve it, but learn more about myself in the not solving of it. If you give me time to wait, if you give me, like I said, stretches of boredom or something like that, I'll learn from it. What about this bothers me? What about this pleases me? See? And in that way, you start to take everything in your life into this context of gratefulness. Next thing you know, as our founder Ernest Holmes put it, our conversation is in heaven. He meant right here and right now. All of a sudden, our conversation is in heaven. All of a sudden, the life I ordered has arrived in this beautiful manner. I think I will do a treatment. Now, Lisa's going to do another one in a minute, just so you can hear one. Okay? Now, I'm a word guy, so I have a lot of words. So this is going to be, I'm going to try to trim it down and give you a minute or so. And I'm not being facetious when I say this. Don't go like, whoa, those words aren't words I'd choose. The whole point is that you choose your words. Okay? But I'm going to choose mine. And knowing there is one life, one power, one presence, pure spirit, everywhere manifesting, everywhere radiant, beautiful, created this amazing day for all of us to live in. And I am one with that. One with its creative capacity. One with its love. So I speak my word into law about just that I know who I am. And I affirm and know for each person here or listening or watching elsewhere that each one of them knows who they are. That each is the beloved. That nothing that has come before can stand in the way of this at all. There's total forgiveness of self and others. There's a calm at the center of the soul. That all disappointments or disillusionments or betrayals or any other bumps in the road along the way are enfolded in love, in the sense that everybody was doing the best they could, knowing what they knew. And that this is a new day, a fresh, spontaneous new day in which anything is possible. So I affirm and know for each one of us, the dreams of our hearts are coming true in solid, tangible, recognizable, dependable form. Whatever those dreams may be, provided they harm no one else, take nothing from anyone else. For to do so would reverse the process back into scatteredness, back into separation and duality, and remove all power from the Word. But we know better. So we know there's enough for everyone. We know that we bless each person who's living a life we admire, because we know spirit is inexhaustible within itself. So I affirm and know for each of us that a life of beauty and wonder and joy is the backdrop of our daily activities. And for this knowing and the way that it manifests in form, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your positivity. Thank you for all of your monetary donations. It's because of what you give to us in the center that we can be here with you. And so now I invite you to say with me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is.
I was kind of caught. I'm caught with that song. If you never heard Karen Drucker live, please do. I think I've heard her one other time, but I got to see her at the convention last year where I went to my ordination panels, which I went to my ordination panels a year ago. I know, right? It's been a year. It's been a year. And many more to come, I'm sure. Especially since once you commit to ordination, that's a lifetime commitment. But my reading this morning was from Rainbow Johnson, and the title was I Am. And I'm always, anytime I see the title I Am, I'm always brought back to, and I know that I've heard Reverend Jesse say it, I'm sure plenty of other people have said, when you say I am, the words that follow that, the universe is listening. The universe is listening. So I am. So frequently what I have decided now is that when I want to tell somebody that I'm having an experience of being tired. See the shift in the language there? I'm not declaring myself this. I'm just having this experience. It is literally a it's a linguistic shift, but it's also that mental thing of, oh, okay, I'm not labeling myself this. So if I'm going to have that self-run, what did he call it? The self-running inventory? Self-inventory? Or the running self-inventory. Language is a big part of it. Be aware of what follows the I am. I am grateful. I am happy. I am healthy. I am whole. I am complete. I am going to do a treatment to send you out into the world. And I'm going to try and use all 5 steps. I'm not as wordy as Jesse is, but that's okay. I like big words though, so you might see some of those or hear some of those. There is one power, one presence, one life, one love. Each and every one of us live that life. That power flows through us. That love flows through us. Each and every one of us is a divine channel for that presence into this world. And we get to decide what that looks like. We get to decide what kind of love we share. The root is divine love. What we make of it is our own. And so I am knowing that you feel that choice in divine love, that you are full up to overflowing with divine love, and that it flows through you out into all of these amazing channels that look like healing, that look like peace, that look like comfort, that look like resources moving to where they are needed, that look like a smile, that look like a handshake, that feel like a hug, that feel like a good meal, a safe place, a warm blanket. Each and every one of us is that divine channel, and I know this. And we are plugged into an inexhaustible source, an inexhaustible source of anything that I can name and everything that I can't. Make of it what you will. Remember who you are. And in the words of Sandy, whose you are. And I am grateful to know this. I am grateful to be this channel. I am grateful for a teaching that teaches me who I am, or at least how to find out myself who I am. That teaches me how to believe, not what to believe. I am grateful for this community. I am grateful for this place. I am grateful for our ministers, our musicians, our practitioners. I am grateful for each and every one of you. And I relax and release and know that it is so. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my
I
mind.
feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.